Welcome back to another season and episode of Minds of Jamaica Mentorship Mondays. I hope you missed us as much as we missed you. I totally missed coming here every Monday on this IG Live. If you're new here, this is where we have informational conversations about career journeys with some inspiring minds. But for this episode, we want to switch things up a little bit because we're starting a new school year. And for our young adults in the session, we just hit the birth season. And if you don't know what I mean, that's the September, October, November, the birth season, the last 4 months of the year. And so we want to ensure that we do a mental check-in. And we have just the right person for that, Kimberly Leckie. Now, Kimberly is a driving force in the realm of mental health advocacy and education, making a profound impact through her pivotal roles as the executive director of Think Mental Health JA and the host of the widely acclaimed podcast, Candid Convos with Kim. As the executive director of Think Mental Health JA, Kimberly is on a mission to revolutionize the mental health landscape in Jamaica. Hey, Kimberly, are you excited to be here?
Of course. Thank you for having me.
We are excited to have you. We want to hit this topic about mental health. But first, I want to ask you, as a young adult, how are you feeling in the birth season? And why I ask is because the last 4 months of the year, everybody's kind of thinking about the goals they haven't accomplished as yet, and that can kind of take a toll on your mental health.
You know, that's a very interesting question that you've asked, because having been in school for most of my life, you know, we have the primary school, high school. I did my bachelor's and my master's, so I've been studying, and it's easy to get overwhelmed in terms of learning and also trying to balance other aspects of your life. You know, people think work-life balance becomes relevant in adulthood only, or as soon as you hit adulthood, but it's relevant even from the earlier years as high school and university. And so it's important to really be mindful in your journey in education to ensure that you do not discount other parts of your life that are also important. And as you talk about the goals that we feel like we are missing out on, or we are not achieving at a fast rate or fast enough rate, you know, a quote comes to mind that says that the days feel long, but the years move fast. And before you know it, your story's been told. And so don't get so caught up in the goals and how fast or how slow it's taking to get them achieved. Instead, appreciate the process and be mindful, because each step is important.
I think you said it. You set the tone for this interview. Of course, as we reflect on the year, we just want to be mindful and set the tone, and, you know, take it one step at a time, as basically you said in summary.
Yes.
But mental health in Jamaica. I know we're coming out of that taboo phase, but I want to know, how did you get into this space of mental health?
Thank you for asking that. It's a very interesting story. My first introduction to mental illness was when I was around 11 years old, when a close family member of mine started to have schizophrenic episodes. And it was an eye-opener to me, because up until that point, when you said madman or a mad person, I would expect, you know, the person living on the street. That's what people said was a madman. But then here I had somebody who I knew, I loved, who was brilliant, hardworking, and over time, in what was a very short period of time, they moved from what was a sane citizen to what would be counted as a madman.
Yeah.
And then quickly, when it is that they would have gone on medication or gotten the right treatment, they'd have come back to that person they were before. And to me, it was mind-boggling, because I said, wait, you can't go mad and come back? You can lose your mind and come back? And so I realized I didn't understand the reality of mental health and mental illness. And that's where that passion or that drive to truly understand mental health and its importance, and mental illness and the stigma surrounding it, that's where it was born. And so from 11 years old, slowly and surely, you learn more. And then I started my podcast surrounding mental health as well, because I was also experiencing depression and anxiety, later being diagnosed with bipolar disorder and ADHD. And I thought it was very important to have a very candid conversation surrounding mental health, because I was almost locked out of the proper mental health care because I did not fit the stereotype of someone with a mental health challenge. When I was depressed and anxious, I was told by my doctor, who did not want to refer me to a specialist, that I was too pretty to be depressed, and was asking if it was boyfriend problems. And when I would go to the hospital, they would skip over me and ask me, when is the patient coming? And so I realized, perhaps, we have the right heart towards health and mental health, but we are somehow lacking in terms of the reality of applying that good intention. And so that's where that passion would have started. And now I'm the executive director of Think Mental Health JA, where we're focused on revolutionizing Jamaica's mental health culture through outreach and conversations, and just bringing it from taboo and stigma to real conversations that are not limited to mental illness, but mental health is everybody's business.
I love that. I love that, you had your first experience just in the realm of mental illness and being exposed to that, and that's basically impacted you to then, try to know and understand it a little bit more. And then you experienced it yourself and you were told, and I'm still shocked by this, let me tell you. I don't know if you saw my face. You're too pretty. Like, if that sounds well Jamaican, where the Jamaicans online, let us know in the chat. That sounds well Jamaican. You're too pretty to be classified as having a mental health issue or having a mental illness.
Right.
And that is something that I think as Jamaicans we grow up with a lot. You look normal, you look decent, and stereotypically mad people, they look a certain way and they're presented a certain way. And I love that you are now starting this conversation. I feel like you started a long time though, but you are now continuing this conversation about mental health and mental illness and making people more aware that it don't have a look.
Right.
And it is important to continuously educate ourselves about this topic. I want to ask you, just, this is where we talk about career paths. And so I just want to touch, how is your career for you? What's a day like in your life? And do you find this advocacy that you do fulfilling?
Good question. I feel like every question you ask, I got a good question. But professionally, I am a marketer. I'm a marketing consultant. I have my own agency. And so, time freedom is a big thing to me, financial freedom, etc., because one key part of my mental health breakdown in the past was because of toxic work environments. And so I would have taken that experience that was quite traumatic and created an opportunity, or used as an opportunity to create a healthier environment for myself, hence going into entrepreneurship. So the day today is, it's creative as I am. I'm not going to say I have a set structure, but I'm able to really balance all my priorities as well as outside of work priorities, right? And leaning into the advocacy now with Think Mental Health JA, that is a voluntary role. It's not like a paid role or anything. So there's a lot of time investment and resource investment into pushing forward this movement. And we have a bunch of volunteers who are just as passionate, who are also volunteering their own time and their resources to push this mental health awareness agenda in Jamaica. And I would say it's very fulfilling. And I love the fact that we've all been able to take our areas of expertise, where we have gone to school for accounting or for finance or for marketing or for this psychology or psychiatry, etc., and we would have been able to take those skills and put it towards this main goal. And so I love that. And to answer your question, it's quite fulfilling. And there are ups and downs. There are times when you kind of feel like, is anything actually happening? Are we actually making a difference? But I've learned that it's within those moments that you keep pushing, and you have to not live by sight, but by faith. I'm a big believer in that. And that if you keep on keeping on, you'll see the results. And oftentimes the validation of your work is behind you, right? You never see the people who are impacted by you. They never actually talk to you. They never send you a message. But it is having an impact. And I would have had a few experiences to confirm that hypothesis. And
Yeah.
that has been something to really keep me feeling motivated and inspired.
I love that you're able to dissect, just, able to be an entrepreneur, have your own marketing agency, and then still find time for your passion and be able to advocate for something that you are truly passionate about. And you are impactful. If you haven't heard it before, you have been impacting life. I remember the first time I listened to one of your podcasts, I was like, wait, people are talking about this?
Really?
Because it was so taboo. And so I love the fact that you are making time for what matters and making an impact in the society of Jamaica, because Jamaica needs more young people like you that's having those candid conversations. So I'm happy that you were able to share that. A lot of times young people see these careers and they think that you're making a whole heap of money from it and thing, and they don't understand that it's a sacrifice that you're making because you want to impact the country that you live in. And so kudos to you, girl. I love that.
Thank you, Shaq.
So I want to get into the meat of the matter though. We've been talking about mental health, and I'm not going to take it for granted that everybody here know what we're talking about. And so what is mental health, Kimberly? And why should we as young people find it important? Why do we need to even be talking about this? Is this really important?
So to put it in the simple terms where everybody can understand, I try to speak in a way that even a fifth grader can understand. When you talk about mental health, you're really talking about your ability to manage the weight of day-to-day life, right? That's it in its simplest term. Can you manage life and its ups and downs and its challenges? And that puts it in context, because many persons would think, oh, mental health is mental illness. It is not, right? Talk about mental illness. No, that is disease. That is something that's going to require treatment, whereas mental health, it's more of a systematic approach to ensure that you're still able to manage the weight of being a human being. And when it is that we think about mental health in that way, then it becomes relevant to everyone. Because I'm sure that you would have had experiences where you're thinking, wow, I don't know if I'm really managing life right now.
I tell you, every day.
And that's not necessarily mental illness, but it is a mental health concern. And so you have to know, pivot and adjust and see how best you can fix your life in a way that you can cope with the weight of living.
I love that you touched on that, because when you talk about mental health, a lot of persons tend to lean back to anxiety, depression, anything that is diagnosed. We tie mental health with mental illness. But I love how you explained it in that simple term. Are we able to take on life, basically? Are we able to take on our daily task? Are we able to live life, fully and, efficiently, effectively? I'm trying to find all these nice words. And so it is so important to talk about this, because it's not just about all the way over on the other side when, things get bad. It is our every single day. Are we living how we're supposed to be living? Are we really looking at life and, carrying out our tasks effectively and efficiently? And that is for every single person here on this chatter that will ever watch this video, because we are always living and we always gonna have tasks and we always have things to do in the day. So mental health is exactly important.
Right.
I know that specifically in Jamaica, and I can talk about Jamaica because I grew up in Jamaica. We're now moving away from that stereotype and the taboo vibes. But how can we continue to move away from it? Because even though we have made strides, we're not there yet where we're fully accepting that, hey, there are things that can go wrong with our minds. Or just like how you have a flu or a cold and you go to the doctor to get cold medicine, that something can be wrong with your mind and you need to seek help there, or go to a doctor that deals with that. How is it that we can continue to move away from that taboo or that stereotype and really conceptualize that the mind and understanding the mind is everybody's business, as you would have said?
as I've said, I think the first thing to do is to understand the context, right? We know that Jamaica has a stigma surrounding mental illness and a bit around mental health same way.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have to understand these things are generational, right? So your grandparents and their parents would have already had certain conversations and beliefs surrounding mental health and mental illness, right? The stigma would have been started from generations ago. And so it's going to take a bit of time and active effort to really address the stigma, to even acknowledge that there is stigma, number one, and then to start working at it. So I think before we can even set out, we need to understand that context and to know that it's going to take time and it's a process. And like anything else, as Michael Jackson would have said, start with the mind in the mirror. So before we start talking about the stigma in Jamaica as a whole, let's look at our stigma towards ourselves or in ourselves surrounding what we believe about mental health and mental illness. Even persons who not even persons who live with mental illness or have family members or loved ones who live with mental health challenges also have stigma surrounding mental health and mental illness, whether they're conscious of it or not. And it comes out in many ways. One way in which it comes out is shame. Persons who have mental health challenges are often ashamed, and that is internalized stigma, right? So when it is that you're having a down day, when it is that you are finding it hard to get out of bed because you're so tired of your toxic work environment, or you're lashing out because you're having problems at home with your significant other, right? And you have this shame and you don't want to talk about it. And so it just swells up inside of you and it just grows and grows and consumes you and then becomes bigger than you and starts causing problems. That's a result of stigma. So I think what we can do just individually is to just take the time to really look at our own mental health, to look at how we're viewing our mental health, and to see what little steps we can take to be more empathetic towards ourselves and to be more understanding towards ourselves, to be more loving towards ourselves and more compassionate towards ourselves pertaining to those challenges. And the next step would be to apply that to those around us. Start with your inner circle. How is it that you can be more understanding towards the people that you care about who are having mental health challenges? And if each person takes an approach, then one by one, little by little, community by community, household by household, that's how Jamaica is changed.
I saw somebody put this in the chat. Is that Ricky? Woo, a word. Wow, a word. I don't know if anybody else is getting draped up over there, but I'm like, oh, yes, that's true. Yes, Shakira. You do that, so stop it. And I feel like everybody got draped up because, you know, we keep looking at it as I asked the question, this holistic, in this holistic way, but you broke it down, Kimberly, to an individual level. Right. And if we can start with ourselves and work on how it is that we view mental health and how it is that we view mental illness, and just kind of break our internal stigmas from it, then start with our smaller circle, as you said, and then, I mean, step by step, there will eventually become a change. I love that. It starts with the man in the mirror. Big up Michael Jackson for that line. Our schoolers are going back to school, Kimberly, and I don't know if you remember when you were going to school, but a whole lot of anxiety, I hope I'm using these terms right, but that feeling of anxiousness, there we go, comes in when you're starting school, whether because you are a new student going into school, or you know, you have changed over the summer, you're wondering, do I still have friends, or do I need to make new friends? All of these things can become very stressful mentally for schoolers. What are 3 top mental health tips that you would give to all the persons going back to school this September?
All right. 3? All right, let's do this on the go. All right, so the first thing I would say is mindset is everything. When I talk about mindset, it's very important. It's really at the core, because how it is that you perceive your life and your experiences is going to determine how it is that you respond to them, how it is that you internalize them, how it is that you make meaning of it, and how it plays a role in your life, right? So it's important to have a particular mindset that helps you and does not weaken you. So when it is that you're going to school, it's important to know that, yes, change, challenge, competition, confusion, all these things are going to be a part of the process. But understand that you have conquered all of those things before, and you will continue to do so. So you have to step into this new school year, this new school term, whether you're going to a different school or a different school level. Just understand that you need to have a mindset of, I can handle this. Right? So that's the first thing.
Yeah.
Knowing that I can handle this. I have a quote that I live by called Amor Fati. It's Italian, so, or is it Latin? Amor Fati, right? And it means love your fate, as in Fate. So in realistic terms now, it means take the cards that life has given you and play them as though you chose them on purpose. So when you go into life and the unexpected happens, instead of wishing it away and start complaining about how I did plan for this and then there's a pop quiz or this person not doing their thing, take it as though this is the best thing that could happen to me. Take that approach. Use it as a stepping stone and don't trip over it, step over it, get over it and keep on moving forward. So that's the first thing, right? The second thing is, remember that you are not your grades. It's in our culture, let's just talk about the reality of being in Jamaica specifically and in the education system. There's a lot of competition within our systems, right? You have to compete to go to the traditional high schools, and then you have to compete to get the scholarships. You have to compete for subsidies. There's a lot of weight when it comes to your performance in terms of school. And then the difference now is that not everybody is going to be book smart or academically inclined in that way. And so you might have a challenge when you're not performing to a particular level, and you might think that, oh, I got a 60 on this or a 40 on this, I'm done. When in reality, there's so many variables at play.
Mm-hmm.
Do not allow your grades to make you feel as though you are less than or you're less valuable. Whether you have a 0 or you have 100, you are a valuable part of Jamaica. You are a valuable member of society, right? So you are not your grades. However, it is important to start to do your best, right? So then we go to part 3. So part 3 is pivot, pivot, pivot. Sometimes we look at the results of our work, the outcome, and we get frustrated because we're working so hard. I'll tell you something, right? Me being quote-unquote straight A student, I got a subject in high school that used to beat my butt. It was chemistry, right?
Ooh.
Everything else was easy. Chemistry, I could not understand it. When they're telling me I get 30s and I get 40s. I tell you, it was not pretty. It was to the point where I would just cry because I'm like, this is not me. I used to think that my grades were a reflection of my value. So when I see 30s and 40s now, you know, I think, Lord have mercy, I am nothing in this world. And I remember my father spoke to me and he was saying, you know, my grades need to improve in that one subject. And I was like, I know, I'll work harder. And he said, no, what you need to do is work smarter. And that changed the game. Because then I realized, oh, work smarter, change my approach. Yeah. In other words, pivot. If something isn't working, don't just dash it away and say, well, I can never be great at chemistry. Because guess what? When I changed my approach, the 90s and the 100s started coming, right? So when they find a subject or a topic that's too hard for you, it's not too hard for you. Just change your approach. Change your perspective. If it is that you used to study by yourself, go find somebody else. I used to watch videos, listen to it in music, watch it in this, have somebody else explain it. Get creative, right? That's how you're gonna manage life, not just school. Get creative and pivot. So those are the 3.
All right, guys. I guess we're ending here. I don't think we need any more. Listen. Top 3. I mean, I felt like you gave me 10 just a while ago because we dissected each of them.
Yes.
But if you're just joining, let me tell you, Kim said that top 3 tips, mental health tips for schoolers going back to school in September. Your mindset is everything. And I'm just repeating from the scholar here. Yeah, I'm gonna call you a scholar. I see a book coming in your future. I don't know. And then she says you are not your grades. And this one really, really touched me, because a lot of times we have students embodying the C's and the D's and the F's and saying, well, I'm a failure or I'm not smart just because they got a bad grade. And so I hope for all of the students watching that, listen, you are not your grades. And then she gave you number 3 to assist you with number 2. If it's not working, pivot. Find another way. You work smarter, not harder. Change your approach to how it is that you're studying. Let me tell you, no man, we could have just done right here. So. Those are some powerful tips. Even I'm going to take them for myself. I'm not in school, but I mean, I feel like I could use them in life at this moment, right? Because even if you're a young professional, right?
Yes, it's a learning experience.
Exactly. Life is a learning experience. So Kim, I want to pick your mind just a little. I want to pick your brain just a little.
All right.
So we're going back to school and we're seeing this trend. Young people, dancehall music, and how lyrics can affect your mental health. This dance phenomena that we see happening at school with those backpacks. What are your thoughts on that? And do you really think that the lyrics can affect how it is that, you know, students are going to be thinking and using their minds?
Good question. She was got a t-shirt saying that. But you're asking some really good question, Shakira. No, I think it's important to recognize music, right? Lyrics, music, repetition, right? Another way you can think of music is affirmation. So what is that you are repeating, you are also affirming. What is that you repeat, you train your mind to believe, right? We hear the line, as a man thinketh, so is he, right? Yeah. So when it is that you continuously say these things and you place certain beliefs in the form of music or lyrics or saying, that's you training your mind to believe it to be so. And if it is that you think it, then it is that you will behave in that manner.
Yeah.
Right? So it's that you're saying that you're dunce, right? And you're speaking that you're dunce. You might behave in a way that you think is aligned with dunceness, right? And it's an interesting conversation because here's this thing now. Many persons will say something but don't actually believe it, right? Or you might say a particular word, but your belief of that word is different. So that's also something to add on top of that conversation. You know, when you're saying these things, what do you believe of what you are saying, right? But it's something that we have to be careful with, because music, some people use it for hypnosis, right? But music, it trains the mind. It trains the mind. It trains the mind. What you believe usually comes from what it is that you repeat. Repeat it. And so it can be a very dangerous thing if you believe these lyrics. And some people are just doing it to actually are doing this as a form of forming their identity. So it's a matter of really finding out where do you stand in this. But music can really turn your mind.
I love how you share that thought, where I never thought about it like this, but it makes absolute sense. I can't deny what you're saying, that music is like affirmation. Whatever you repeat, you believe. And so, I mean, that's a good way just to get that thought out to students, that whatever you repeat, you believe. And so I think we just really need to realize that the things that we're listening to can in fact impact how it is that we are thinking about ourselves and the world around us.
Yeah, because if it is that you have low self-esteem, you know, one of the things that people always tell you to do when you go to the professionals is to have an affirmation. So if it is that you can change your belief through repeating a particular statement. So you say, I am confident. Every day you say, I am confident. You're going to end up moving in a manner that says you are confident.
It's true.
Right? That is how you train your mind. And that's why you have to be careful about the words that you speak. The Bible says that the power of life and death is in the tongue, right?
Yes.
So what is that you are speaking has power. And it has power because what is that you believe is what's going to impact your actions, and it's your actions and your habits that direct your life. And when it's that you're blind to that impact, you might start thinking, oh, it's the universe. No, it's you.
Listen, if we were in person, I would be jumping up and down in my come out of my chair and jump up and down. No. That's just a gem right there. I mean, I want this. I feel like if this could be broadcasted, then everybody would kind of change their perspective. And even Jamaican artists would be even more cautious about what it is that they're putting out there, hopefully. I don't know, speaking it to being. Woo! But I think that is so important because we don't realize that it's true, we can train our minds, and everything that we're saying consistently, it's making a mark up here. So it's a great way to answer that question, Kimberly. Completely great way to answer that question for sure. See Camera on saying we're gonna broadcast this. Yes, clip it and shoot it out, make everybody know. Listen. Kim, I want to ask, as a young person, I'm leaping to the other side, but as a young person, what resources are there just to help persons navigate in this, mental health framework? Like, I'm going to school, I'm feeling stressed, or I'm going to school and I feel so peer pressured by the fact that I need to say, yo, I'm done, but I don't really believe it. How do I navigate that? What type of resources are there that can help our young people?
Okay, so over on Think Mental Health JA, we actually host support sessions. So each month we focus on different topics that are related to mental health and well-being, not necessarily mental illness, right? So versus having a support session for depression or anxiety, we talk about the things that are more applicable to the wider society and not necessarily just the group of mental illness or the title of mental illness. So we talk about managing stress. We talk about dealing with grief. We talk about all those experiences that impact mental health. And we have these support sessions that are free, right? And we have trained professionals who are there to sit with you in these sessions and really guide you through navigating these spaces. And so that's that. And once that you message our page, we're also able to connect you because we really aim to be a connector, right? So persons can come to us, we can connect you with the necessary organizations or professional psychologists and psychiatrists who are able to help you with your specific situation. And so separate from that, I can also say, go on YouTube, go find an affirmation playlist, right? So if it is that you need some self-love, there are plenty of self-love affirmations over there. I just have that playing in the background because, as my mom would say, when you have a thought, it's not enough to just be fighting the thought. So let's say you say, oh, I'm not attractive. Let's say that's something that you're struggling with. You have insecurities. Oh, I'm too this, I'm too that, da, 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 da. Everybody has insecurities. And you have these thoughts in your head. I am not good enough, da, 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 da. My mom would always say, it's not sufficient to just say, oh, stop that. I don't want to think that thought anymore. You have to replace the thought. And so instead of just saying, oh, I don't want to think that I'm not attractive, you have to start replacing it with the positive. I am attractive. I am enough. I am beautiful because I believe I am beautiful, right? And what else is that you can actively do that? Another way of really put some steroids in that is by having those affirmations being played around you. So let's say you can have it played and you just repeat with it. And that I say affirmations, right? As an example, I've said it maybe 2 or 3 times in this one video because I know it works, right? I know it's a very efficient and effective way of really reprogramming how it is that you think, right? You have to be very specific about how you think. So those are the 2 things. Head over to Think Mental Health JA and go find some affirmations on YouTube for free that are aligned with what it is that you want to work on.
I love how everything that you said was free, because lots of times our young people want help and they feel like, oh, the only way I can have help is if, I have to pay for it or yada, yada, yada. I want everybody to go over and follow ThinkMH_JA because Kimberly just said They have free sessions every month. Emphasis on the free, emphasis on the FREE sessions that you can join even if you're not sure, you just join it one day just to feel it out, right? And then when I wouldn't say wait until you need it, but let's be realistic. And you need it, you know that it is there. So for sure, go over to Think Mental Health Jamaica and follow their page. And you can also drop them a DM, and they're going to refer you to, a different resource if needs be. Yes. And then affirmations. I love that you dropped replace the thought. You need to replace the thought. It's not just I don't want to think like this anymore, but what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do to replace that thought? So affirmations are key. And I'll drop my example that when I was going to school, I booked up on Les Brown. And let me tell you, Les Brown changed my mind. Every single morning I was listening to Les Brown. That's I knew by heart. I was brushing my teeth and that was Les Brown writing across my head. So, that I am a winner. I can do anything that I put my mind to. So, of course, for sure, retrain your mind by having those affirmations. As we are wrapping up, I want to ask you, mental health advocate, how can Minds Off, play a role in mental health advocacy? What can we do to help?
Well, here's the thing, right? I'm a big believer in collaboration over competition any day, right? And so over I think Mental Health JA, we've been having a circuit, we've been having a tour where we go to schools, organizations, churches, workplaces, and we have these sensitization sessions. Now, what would be amazing, seeing that Minds of Jamaica is really tailored towards the younger generation and schoolers and all of that, to really come together. And I really want us to do some form of school tour, take it to the road, and really just come together with our resources and to really get into the generation that's up and coming. Because not to say that the older generation is lost, definitely not. But I feel like it would be of greater impact if it is that we got to the generation that's still in the formative years and create that culture of mental health awareness and well-being from then. So let's team up.
I love that. I'm gonna take it to my people and let my people reach out to your people.
Okay.
See how that works. But that sounds like a really great idea, and I'm sure that in the near future we most definitely can implement that. As you come here taking notes, so that means it has been written, and whatever is written, it comes to fruition.
I love that.
Kimberly, I want to say thank you so much from Minds of Jamaica for coming on and just sharing with us the importance of understanding mental health and mental well-being, and major tips and resources of just how us as young people can navigate this realm of trying to have better mental health, trying to break that generational curse,
right,
so that we can have better mental health and have these conversations to remove that taboo and that stigma. We really appreciate it so much.
Thank you for having me. Definitely. And thanks for everybody that tuned in. It really means so much to have this conversation.
Yes. It was very good. I just want to read Jeffrey Azan's comment in the chat. The human mind can think of the negative, aka you can tell your mind not to think of something. You either guide it or release it. I saw Ricky in the comments say great questions, great answers. So I just want to say thanks so much to everybody for coming out on this episode of Mentorship Mondays, and we'll see you back next month, same time, second Monday of the month, with another interesting conversation. So see you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.